Molly's Game is a 2017 film that just came into my area, and I've been looking forward to this film ever since. I heard that this was the directorial debut of Aaron Sorkin, the writer of a few films like A Few Good Men, The Social Network, Moneyball, and the 2015 Steve Jobs movie. Not the one with Ashton Kutcher that kind of sucked, the one with Michael Fassbender that he was nominated for an Academy Award. And this film is based off of the best-selling novel by former athlete Molly Bloom, where she describes her life, which started out, she was an Olympic skier, and she had an injury. She actually tore up her spine, or something along those lines, and so her athletic career was over. And as she's going into law school, she gets caught up in this underground poker game that some patrons are actually politicians and celebrities. And then over the years, she creates two of the world's most high-class poker tournaments in New York and Los Angeles. And then about a decade later, she's arrested by the FBI for starting up this illegal underground poker game. First off, let's start with the film as a whole. This is a very well-made movie. I wasn't really expecting to enjoy this as much because I didn't really like what the trailers were showing. The only reason that I was interested in it was because, Aaron Sorkin. I really love Aaron Sorkin and what he's done in film, and I wanted to see how he is as a director, which he's a good director. He's not great, but then again, he's been doing screenwriting most of his life, and this is his first, so I'm not holding that against him. Otherwise, he did a pretty good starting job. However, his talent as a writer is still going strong because Molly's Game is an intriguing story that deserves to be told on the big screen. It's, I don't know, we see this athlete get knocked down to her lowest point due to her injury, and somehow she finds herself hosting these underground poker games where the players are politicians, entertainers, and even mobsters. It's a very strange, true story that you really have to see to believe. They balanced the film in a non-linear sort of way, with scenes of her days as the poker princess, as people call them, with showing how everything happened before writing the book, and then everything that happened after when it pertains to her getting arrested and having to go to trial for all that. And for the most part, everything works. However, there are quite a few times where the scene would become very interesting, and then it would feel like it's going towards a climax, whether it's in the present time or in the past. It would happen like that, and then before it even got to the natural climax, it would just transition back to the past or into the future, and I'd sit there thinking, wait, that was it? The film also utilizes narration from Molly's point of view during the scenes in the past, and narration doesn't work a lot in cinema, but Aaron Sorkin seems to find a way for it to work in this movie, because while the dialogue throughout the film is sharp and incredible, I actually feel that it shines most of all through the narration, and it's not really used for exposition. It kind of is, but it's mostly used as a way to explain how poker works for certain people who are not experts like myself. I'm very bad at poker. And also as a way to get into the mind of Molly Bloom, mainly how she's feeling in those moments. Jessica Chastain plays Molly Bloom, and she does okay. I don't particularly think she was great in the movie. I mean, she definitely has some very standout moments throughout the film, but if anything, it felt like she was trying way too hard to be this badass woman who's feared by all of her customers. I don't know. I didn't really see that. I just saw Jessica Chastain giving a very restrained performance. However, when she was giving narration, she really shined. I mean, she was very convincing, and with the excellent narration and how intriguing the character was herself, it was very difficult at times to actually separate the performance from the character. So it actually took me a couple of days to really think, how do I feel about Jessica Chastain in this performance? And yeah, I honestly think somebody else could have done Molly Bloom better. Idris Elba plays Molly's lawyer, Charlie Jaffe, And he gives an Oscar-worthy performance in this movie. He's amazing. Sadly, the film doesn't utilize him very much, but as the film progresses, he slowly gets a little bit more screen time, and then a little bit before the third act, we see him give this amazing monologue, and it really shows off how charismatic he is as a person. Kevin Costner isn't in the film too much, but he portrays Molly's father, whose name I keep forgetting. I think it was like Richard or something. And the way that he's showcased at first can make you kind of hate him, because he's one of those cliche dads of athletes who are just like, you know, you need to focus on athletics and academics first, nothing else, and then until you get that thing right, we're gonna stay here and you're gonna keep doing it, like one of those guys. And so it can really make him seem like the biggest piece of shit in the world. Personality-wise. But there's one scene with his character and Molly where they're sitting on a park bench in Central Park, New York, and it was one of the most emotionally satisfying scenes that I've seen in the past couple of years, and it really made me think about my initial opinion of Molly's dad. And Kevin Costner gives a terrific performance, as always. He's been really killing it in the past couple of years. Also not in the film that much, but definitely more than Kevin Costner, is Michael Cera, who plays an unnamed celebrity who goes to Molly's poker games and is arguably the best player at those games. Michael Cera has actually mentioned in interviews that his character is actually an amalgamation of a few celebrity poker players, including I think one of them was Tom Cruise, I think? I know one of them was Tobey Maguire. Apparently he plays poker. I didn't even know that. His role is fairly significant, though I will not spoil how so. I was really impressed with Cera's performance, but of course he suffers from the same thing that people like Tom Cruise does. He's too recognizable. When you see his baby face and you hear his voice, you know it's Michael Cera, and when he plays a much more serious role, you know, even though he shows us, he definitely has the chops, because like I said, he's good. He's really good in this movie. I find myself easily separated from the... I easily separated myself from the part and the actor. They didn't meld together, because I'm just so used to Michael Cera playing roles that serve his personality, you know, like Scott Pilgrim vs. the World and Nick and Nora's Infinite Playlist, like stuff like that. In the end, I did enjoy Molly's Game a little bit more than I was expecting, because the trailers didn't interest me too much, so I went in with somewhat low expectations. I still expected a lot from the script, because it's an Aaron Sorkin script, but I didn't expect it to be as good as it was, so it did actually exceed my expectations by a hair. And while the script is the best part of Molly's Game, it also has great supporting performances and an intriguing story, but sadly the movie falters a bit because of an inconsistently convincing lead performance and a narrative structure that I didn't think flowed as well as, say, Social Network, which had a similar narrative structure. I'm going to give Molly's Game 3.5 reels. Well, that'll do it for me today. Please subscribe if you haven't already for more reviews and content, and as always, thank you so much for watching, and farewell until the next video.